How you doing? So I'm working and this keeps coming so incredibly hard and fast that I can't actually continue working anymore. So I feel like someone needs to hear this. Um, and maybe it's really important for somebody to hear this. Okay, so in a world that is so caught up in thoughts of aesthetics and what beauty is and how we can become more pleasing to other people, I feel like I just need to put a point of view across, and it might maybe disturb this view of how society or what society thinks is beautiful. Because, and it took me a very long time to come to this conclusion. And the reason why it took so long to get to this conclusion is because I was completely bombarded, as we all are, constantly by what society or what culture deems as being beautiful. And I've spoken in other videos about the fact that my body never fit into any stereotype of what beauty looked like. And I made peace with that very early on. Um, I have only come to the realization of what beauty really is in the last, say, 2 years of my life, where I had a deep understanding of what it was before. I just couldn't embody it in myself. So I always used to think, and this is before I come to the deep realization of what beauty actually is. So, like, say for example, I was like out with my friends and we'd stop over somewhere and they'd wake up in the morning and like you'd see them first thing on the morning and they would be like, oh God, look at the state of me. You know, they're hungover, or, you know, their hair would be stuck up all over and all this kind of thing. And I would think to myself, like, God, you're so beautiful. Like, and I would think these things in my mind, and I think, like, if I said that out loud, they would think I was a bit weird or that I fancied them in some way. And I would, and I always used to think this. And then, like, say if my friend would turn up to my front door and we'd be going out somewhere, and then every fucking everybody does this, and they say, oh, I'm sorry about the way I look, or oh, I'm sorry this and whatever, and they have to explain their aesthetics for how they come and present themselves to you. And I'm like, number one, I hadn't even fucking noticed. It's not what you're here for. Is aesthetically pleasing to me, number one. And then number two, I would always think, you look fucking gorgeous. You know, like, I don't see the problem. Like, I think you look really nice right now. And I would always think that. Okay, so that's number one. Then I would think about like partners that I have dated or that I've had relationships with. And I would just think that they were so incredibly handsome. And I've never had like a set type of person that I would date. There's never been like, you know, must have brown hair tick, must have blue eyes tick. There's never been any of that. I think every single one of my partners has looked completely different. A body type, you know, like there's been no stereotype of what my partner should look like. And every single one of them, I've thought, bloody hell, you know, like, you are so attractive. And they're not wearing any makeup, and obviously we would be seeing each other at vulnerable times and things, and I'd you know, no hair done, or, you know, like, smelling less than gracious and all this kind of stuff. And never in my mind did I think, God, you don't look any more attractive than you did when you were all dolled up, or when you had your hair done, or like when you just stepped out of the shower. I was like, there was no other time where I thought that they were more attractive than they weren't, if that makes sense. And then I would look at myself, and in really low times in my life, I would think that I was less attractive. And I probably was less attractive in my lowest times because I probably didn't smile as much, and I probably put even more effort into the way that I looked, which was taking me away from my natural beauty. And you don't carry yourself well when you're feeling down. You don't you don't communicate in the same way. Like, I was telling the world that I wasn't attractive because of low mood for like long periods of time, high stressful situations. And I would lean more on cosmetics and creams and all these kind of things to somehow improve or enlist the help of to improve my my beauty and therefore my mental health, because obviously the two are completely entwined. And what I've actually come to the conclusion of, or that your subconscious is actually paying much more attention to what you're doing than what you think. And in the same way, I'm going to say your subconscious at this time is exactly the same as your child watching you, okay? And this will hit really hard to some. So when you are putting foundation on your face, you are covering up your natural face. And this doesn't have to be foundation. I'm just, it doesn't have to be foundation. I'm just using that as a layer. So when you are choosing to cover up your natural face, what you are actually saying to your, I've gone deaf in one ear again. I feel like this is really important. That when you are covering up your natural face, you are actually telling your subconscious that your natural face is not pretty. Okay? So in every time you choose to cover yourself up, what you're actually doing is covering up your truth. Just think about that. And your subconscious is like your child watching you. So your child is taking on board the fact that natural beauty is not enough, is not beautiful. Hits really hard, that, doesn't it? And every time that you choose to cover up your naturalness, you are telling that child and your subconscious that you aren't beautiful, because you are choosing to cover it up. You are saying that it's not good enough. And your subconscious and your child are listening to that. They are watching that. Now, also what I want to highlight is that your subconscious and the child watching you is also taking on board that without makeup, you aren't good enough. So for that child to grow up, be 4, 5, 6, 7, and be asking to wear makeup, what they're actually asking for your permission to look good, to look better, to look like you, to be more appreciated. That's what they're asking for. Because that's what you're doing when you're putting makeup on, is that you're asking permission from the people around you to be more attractive. That's what your subconscious is literally regurgitating every single time. Now, when you first started wearing makeup, you didn't wear makeup the way that you wore makeup now. It's more so, yeah? So this is more layers, more intricate makeup. more, 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 more. And this is how young children start off. It's just a little bit of powder, it's just a little bit of mascara, and then it ends up, excuse me, being full face, full eyelashes, hair extensions and all the rest of it. That's how it starts, and then it goes on and on and on and on. Because what you're constantly doing is telling your subconscious and that child that they're not good enough without that. Now, most children that I've been around over my life start wanting to put makeup on when they're 4 or 5. And that's when they start realising that they're a separate person to their parents. And that's when they really go out into the outside world and school. So you're putting these children into their society without the protection of something that you're teaching them that they need. It's just, I laugh, but it's like, it's serious stuff. Like, the more and more I think about this kind of thing is the reason why I don't put anything on my face. I don't block my naturalness at all. Because the more that I understand how the subconscious works, the more that I understand how my child and the other children are seeing me, is the reason why I don't put anything on my face. Because the way that I experience my beauty is exactly the same way that everyone else experiences my beauty. Now, another way that we can look at this is the subconscious and the little child watching you when they do get to the point where you do allow them to put makeup on. So you're saying it's okay. What you're actually indeed saying is that it's okay to start looking different in order to fit in. So you're allowing that, you're in control of that. And you decide for that child when they're allowed to wear it and when they're not allowed to wear it. So it starts becoming like when they're allowed to wear their mask and when they're not allowed to wear their mask. And it's generally when they're at home and when they're going out, when they're going to school and when they're at home. So are they beautiful at home but they're not at school? Things to think about. And I'm sorry I'm pointing. I'm just doing this. I'm not pointing at you. And I have spoken in other videos about what beauty is and the way that others experience our beauty, because realistically no one is experiencing our beauty when we go into the outside, when we go out and about, when we're in, full face of makeup, and there's, all these things about like catfishing and people looking like completely different people, and marriages and relationships breaking down because obviously the person looks completely different without their mask on. They become somebody different. It's very much like becoming a whole different persona, when they're getting ready. And this isn't just women, this is obviously for men as well. The person that we take to the outside world, the person that we show to society is very different to the one that we have at home. And what we're saying is that we're doing this to be accepted. Now, in regards to our beauty, we rely so much on validation from the outside world about how beautiful we are, when everybody's reality is so different. So to one person, we might be the most beautiful person in the whole entire universe, but to another, we might not be anything. And does that really matter? And should that matter to us? Because my idea of beautiful is completely different to yours, to my friends, and that's completely fine. But I'm not going to change how I look for my friends or for my partner. Or I feel most beautiful when I'm being me. And I think this is something that we need to rehash in society, is we rely so much on other people's perception of what beauty is, and really all it is a selling tactic. I could, I could say that I'm not fitting in with society because my eyelashes are blonde. Like I talk about this in other videos, and somehow that's not beautiful. You know, I joke about it because it looks like sometimes I don't have any expression, but only on a screen. You know, black eyelashes doesn't change me as a person at all, or doesn't make you find me more attractive. Like, not one time in my life has makeup made somebody treat me better, or people, you know, like me more. It's never happened. It's never happened in my life. And if anything, I feel like me showing up as my authentic self has only made people show up to me in a more authentic way, because it's safe. They know that I'm not bullshitting. You know, this is who I am. This is the Gemma that you get whether you live with me or you don't, or you wake up with me in the morning or you don't. You know, like, it's the same thing. I mean, like, I'm wearing my same old crappy jumper that keeps me warm in my studio. I don't think I've even brushed my hair today. And I'm not saying this is like the best thing in the whole entire world to be a hobo, but even the fact that I'm saying stuff like that cracks me up. Like, I'm clean, I'm tidy, you know, and I've never felt this attractive, like, because this is my representation of what beauty is. And I would absolutely love to be able to give everybody out there that kind of vision about themselves. Imagine if you could turn up to the rest of your life feeling like the most attractive person ever. Like, I bet you've never felt like that. I mean, when my son came into the world, I thought I had seen, you know, beautiful things. And when he came into the world, it just blew my mind. I couldn't even put into words how beautiful I thought that boy was. And and I never wanted to change him. And the fact that he went through like 2.5 years of his life without even really having his hair cut, he wasn't. I mean, he could see himself in the mirror, but he had no idea, or, you know, inception in his mind about what his beauty should look like. He was just like, I just exist, and that's beautiful. Like, he looked in the mirror and smiled, and it just opened my eyes massively to the fact that that's how we should all look at ourselves. The fact that we exist in all our colours and all our wonder and all our different types and sizes and shapes and amazingness is beauty. Beauty for me is the truth. And the fact that we're covering ourselves up so much and trying to be these doll-like expressions of what humans should be is not only killing our soul and telling our subconscious that we're constantly not good enough, which actually probably ends up turning into depression and anxiety over time, and leaving us socially inept, that we have to adhere to all these habitual things to even walk out the fucking house. My stomach. And we're constantly, in our vainness, being sold these products that have no place in our world other than to make somebody money. That's it. Like, basically, somebody's telling you that you're not beautiful the way you are, and then providing you a product that you want to go and buy so that you fit into this box. Like, God knows how much I've spent on cosmetics and freaking makeup and all these kind of paraphernalia, all in plastic, all chemicals. Like, where do we think this is all going? Where do we think that it's all coming from? It's chemicals. We're not only harming ourselves with what we're doing to our subconscious mind and what we're doing to our children, to their mental health and their social status, but we're also harming ourselves with the amount of chemicals. Like it's just a lose-lose situation. What do you actually get out of putting those cosmetics onto you? Because you're still buying. You're still buying, you're still going round and round in circles trying to make yourself feel better, when really all you need to do is get rid of all of it. Your reality is shaped by what goes on in here. That's it. Like, I'm beautiful the way that I am right now, showing up to you, waving my hands about and still a dress on one hand. Like, and you are just the way that you are. And like, even if I'm the only person in the whole entire universe that accepts you just the way you are, let it be that. But I would rather you show up being you, the authentic you, and being proud of that, because you will completely act differently. You will show up differently in your world. You will show up differently for your children, and your children will in turn show up differently for you. In giving up all this bullshit, in giving up everybody else's reality of what we should look like, we're actually saving ourselves and making ourselves healthier. It's a healthier choice. It's a brave choice. All those chemicals are going into your water supply. Every time you have to wash that crap off your face, it's going into the water supply. The chemicals to make your skin moist, the chemicals to dry your skin out, the chemicals to get rid of your spots. It's all chemicals. You've got no idea what any of that stuff does. You really don't. And if you started looking into it, you would stop half of it immediately, because I did. You wonder how them lipsticks last 24 hours? Go look. Honestly, you will be happier, healthier, and just an all-round more contented person by being you. True beauty is authentic beauty, your beauty.